Hello, my name is Michael Gill of Texas Senior Living Locators, and today's topic is what a senior living locator can do for you. We'll be discussing these elements of a senior living search. We at Texas Senior Living Locators are consultants who use our intimate knowledge of the local senior living industry to help families of seniors find the best solution for their family's needs. I personally have visited every assisted living, independent living, and memory care in town. I use this knowledge to help families design an efficient search for a senior living community. My services are free because I am paid a commission by whichever community the family chooses. And because I have relationships with the vast majority of communities in town, I don't try and steer folks only to places that pay me. I am objective in my assessment, trying only to meet the best needs of this prospective senior living resident. So why is a senior placement service like mine the right choice for you? Let's compare my service to the 3 strategies families often employ in their senior living search. The first is the drive-by strategy. Here, a family member will stop by a senior living community they know of, having driven past it for years. The family member stops in to speak with the community relations director and tells the story of their elderly loved one's recent history. But this community may be in assisted living when somebody needs a memory care, or maybe the community is too expensive relative to the family's financial resources. So the marketing person refers the family member to another community or two to see if they can better meet their needs. This may lead to yet more referrals and is an inefficient process. And if this family settles on a community, there's no guarantee they have properly compared it with other communities that never hit their radar. Therefore, the drive-by strategy is both time-consuming and incomplete. The second strategy is the internet search. Unfortunately, most senior living websites are generically similar, don't include pricing, and are only designed to get you to call them. Or there are websites which induce you to input your phone number and email address, which, by the way, you should never do. Because once you give up your contact information, it is immediately transmitted to over a dozen communities in the area. You are inundated with phone calls, text messages, and emails, all resulting in a chaotic assault on your time and attention. Therefore, the internet search strategy is another inefficient strategy. The third strategy is to rely on a hospital's discharge planner or a social worker in a skilled nursing home for advice. Unfortunately, the Code of Ethics for Social Workers says they are not allowed to give advice as to which community is chosen. Instead, all they are supposed to do is provide resources. So they usually hand the family a list of communities and say to let them know which one of them they've chosen. None of these 3 strategies intelligently organize the confusion of the search for an appropriate senior living situation that meets the seniors and the family's needs. So let me tell you how I work and why my process is such a better solution. When I get a phone call from a family, the first order of business is to understand the family situation. I always offer to meet in person, usually at a coffee shop, to discuss things. Usually when somebody calls, they are ready to talk. So most often we continue with a telephone call, which generally lasts 45 minutes to an hour. In this discovery stage of the conversation, I try and tease out the most important items for a successful placement. On the care needs side, that means whether the senior has unusual or difficult care needs. This may mean diabetes, which has particular challenges because of assisted living regulation. Or it may mean the presence of any cognitive decline, which may not be a primary concern at the moment, but will certainly be a major consideration as the senior ages. The goal of the discovery process is to fully understand the aging senior's care needs so that we can meet their current and anticipated needs over the coming years and months. Beyond care needs, there are other considerations. On the social side, an independent living community is preferable to assisted living, as there is more intellectual stimulation in a large assisted living. Still, sometimes the smaller environment and higher care of a personal care home should be considered. Sometimes a beloved pet is the most important social consideration. Geography is important because the easier and more often the family can visit, the happier everyone is. So we always start the search for a location central to the family and commuting routes. Then we work outward from there. Money is frequently the limiting factor in the search, so a thorough discussion of available resources is necessary. It is up to the family to set a budget, but I can help the family think things through. I can also provide information on veterans benefits, long-term care insurance, and Medicaid. Once the discovery stage of the phone call is complete, and we both feel all the items of concern are agreed to be well understood by both parties, we begin the education phase. Here we discuss where in the senior living industry a senior fits and why. Many of the considerations I go over with the client are situation dependent. There are many nuances about that the family doesn't understand about senior living because they may never have had any experience with it. So we discuss things in detail. Some families think a senior using a walker and needing help with medications mean they have to go to assisted living. Not so. There are plenty of walkers in independent living, and there is support available for seniors needing a little help. Or there are seniors who are perfectly healthy and ambulatory with no physical needs, but who may be better off going to memory care immediately, rather than waiting for the inevitable crisis and making 2 moves instead of 1. Some families aren't even familiar with personal care homes, the small 6 to 10 bed assisted livings that may be the best fit for some seniors. As I said, it's all very situation dependent, and every family's situation is different. And while I get to guide the family, it is their decision to make. My goal is to simply give the family enough information so that they can make the most informed decision possible. Once the education phase of their conversation seems complete, I give my recommendations on the 3 communities we should target for visitation. Let's recall the types of senior living options available in the greater Austin area. There's assisted living, memory care, independent living, personal care homes, and skilled nursing. With all these choices, how do we determine which communities we will visit? First, we eliminate the geographically inappropriate locations. Let's give a hypothetical example. Say a family lives in Northwest Austin, somewhere between the Arboretum and Lakeline Mall. Then there are less important family members in the central Austin area, and the primary caregiver works downtown. In this case, we would eliminate the places south of the river and perhaps Georgetown, Leander, and Round Rock. We would weight our geographic preferences in the direction of central Austin. Next, if the senior had a meaningful level of dementia, we would eliminate all independent living communities and large assisted living communities. Next, we would take money into account and filter out some options because of price. Finally, we would discuss the places I know to have had poor recent performance or where there has been a lot of management and staff turmoil. This leaves us with a very limited universe, and we choose a few places to visit. Now, in some instances where money is more important, we may decide to consider a place further away. Or, if there's a specific medical need which only a few places can accommodate, then again, we would modify the search. Over the course of this discussion, I inform you as to why we are prioritizing certain places over others. And I may suggest we include considering a small personal care home in the search as part of the education process. In the touring phase, I would set up tours for the family and accompany them on either the in-person tours or on the video conference tours, depending on who is participating and where we are with infection control measures. During the tours, I want the community to give their best presentation, but I also try and make certain that all the right questions are asked. I prefer to do 3 tours in a row because you learn a lot by comparing places when they're fresh in your mind. But after visiting 3 places, your mind is overwhelmed. So that's the maximum number of visits I recommend in a day. There are times when a senior and their family may choose to stay in their long-term care home, in their long-term home. If this is the decision, I'm happy to help the family find other resources, such as home care agencies, home health, or hospice. After all, this is a very personal decision, and I want to support the family in whatever choice they make. I will also try and bring up other topics as necessary, such as lawyers to put essential documents in place, or veterans benefits professionals. Another important function I have is expectation management. I can be quite candid about what to expect when entering senior living. There are certain aspects that everyone needs to be aware of, such as staff turnover, which happens everywhere in the industry, sometimes leading to unpleasant changes. Also, we are dealing with fragile seniors here, so falls will happen everywhere. The senior living industry generally does a good job, but they are human and mistakes happen. I want families to be able to distinguish between the unacceptable and the unforgivable. I believe a senior living locator service like mine is an invaluable resource for families looking for help finding the best senior living option for their loved one. As I mentioned, my service is free to the family and there is no obligation. If you think I can help your family, and if you live in the Central Texas area surrounding Austin, please give me a call and let's begin an intelligent, efficient, and stress-free way to explore your senior living options. My name is Michael Gill. Thank you for listening, and my contact information is here.